We've been coming to this church about 35 years.
I've been coming over 30.
It'll be 50 years soon.
We came here in 1968.
I started coming here in about 2006, 2007.
We have been coming to St. Andrews for almost 2 years now.
I started coming here in 1957, the year I was born, and grew up here in the church.
I think it was the welcomingness of everybody and the family environment and atmosphere.
It used to be there was nothing around on this side of town. There wasn't a Lowe's and there weren't very many restaurants.
Anything past the VA hospital was country.
The church was here, and I intended to come, but they didn't even have a sign out with times on at that time. But I met Dennis Taylor at work, and he invited me to come, and he's still a good friend here at this church.
I remember attending church in this current building. I remember having the anniversary Sunday outside on the grounds. We would set up a table from this building over to the hut where the office is currently standing and have the food table from about the hut to the church. And then we would just sit at tables in the yard or on the tailgate of a truck or a car. That is one of my fondest memories and one of the earliest memories that I have of the church.
Well, I met my wife here, so that's a favorite memory. She was born and raised in the church. Our wedding and also my son's wedding and my daughter's weddings were all three here in the church. Have fond memories of those.
I was drawn to the choir, and after visiting several churches, we didn't like this one, so we stayed here. And I'm still singing in the choir.
I think probably my favorite memory is the day I came up to pray at the altar and Gary Davis was here. I told him the story about how a cousin had to have a lung transplant and they didn't have the money, and how we started out with a fundraiser. They needed $10,000. That was the goal, but we had no idea if we would make it or not. We put things together and did it, and that evening, we counted the money, and it was $11,000. I led the fundraising, but I led it only after I had talked to God. And I was just so full, and so I just had to come to the altar, my favorite place in this church, and thank God for it.
We've met so many great families over the years here at St. Andrews. When we first came down, we definitely connected a lot with Donna Weisbrod, who did a lot of the children's ministry. And I started volunteering with her, which was how I got to know a lot of the people at the church. And then more recently, Jennifer Morris, she also did children's ministry here, and I got to know her really well. She was a great mentor and a really good friend here at the church.
One of my favorite was Vernon Tigner. He is one of the gentlemen that helped rebuild the old chapel. I went to Bible study with him. I helped him restore the parsonage one year for a new minister's family, and he was just the most special man. He's passed away, and his wife has moved to an assisted living in Texas, but he was one of my very, very, very favorite people.
Of course, Ursula Stahl is always a symbol of St. Andrews. And then Marie Walkup. I still miss seeing her up there, although it's been years. She was the pianist, and then she became the organist. She and her husband are such faithful members. It makes my heart glad every time I see them.
We had a lot of close friendships here. Ursula Stahl was really one capable and useful Christian person in a church.
along with her husband, Wallace.
I've been an usher here in the church for quite some time, and I remember a gentleman named Mr. Edge who was very, I have a lot of fond memories of him showing me how to be an usher and what they should do and how they should act, how you should dress. Him and I did it together for a long time, and of course he's deceased now, but I remember him very well, as well as Miss Stahl and the Piners. There was another gentleman named Jack Darden that I remember very well. He would also help usher a lot. They were most of them were in their 60s and 70s whenever I was probably in my teens. So.
We have such an active and vibrant congregation, and it's full of such diversity, people from all walks of life, all ages. Our church is very welcoming to families and young children, and I think our church is going to have a very long future because we have all of these people connected with the church who want to carry on that legacy.
It's very unique in these times to have a church that is sustainable for that period of time and that continues to work on growing.
We have so many new families coming to St. Andrews. There are kids just everywhere, and that's so wonderful.
I like how welcome you feel here. It really is a family. It's just super casual. You hear kids during the service. The kids all feel comfortable running up to the front of the church, running in the back for kids' church. So it's awesome to see her be so comfortable here too and not need me at all. She just runs to whoever.
It's good to be a part of a church that's been through so much. You know, the church was started before the Civil War, and it's still here. I know there's been some, ups and downs in the church. It's good to know that it's persevered through good times and bad.
It's been tough times in all churches with COVID and everything. I think about the times 175 years, they must have had a hard time. I'm sure there was times they wondered if they'd make it next day. In fact, somebody was telling the tale, sometimes the preacher went without pay. And so it's, I feel like in my heart, I think, well, Lord, they made it back then, we can make it now. I'll be there, Lord. Just show me what you want me to do.